Right, right. And do you just suggest that people really try and keep that top number in mind so that they're pleasantly surprised at the end of it if it's a little bit less?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's really smart to go in reality, and I call it a little conservative reality, with an extra 5 or 10% kind of conservatism. I do that with all my clients during our design build. I'm personally responsible for all the estimating, the collation of all the different pricing through my subcontractors and materials pricing through my vendors to help them establish a very early realistic price so that we can kind of work that down utilizing their budget target in mind during the design. So we let the budget drive the design, and at the same point we let the design reflect what the family wants to do, and we try and keep the two really in parallel and in synchronicity through the whole design build process. That way we don't over design a project that they love and it's 50,000 too high, or we have 25,000 left in a budget and they would have really appreciated a little extra room on the master suite, or maybe having a nursery or something. So it's a
That's
very,
awesome.
very, it's a ballet of material, of information.
Right, and getting that right the first time, because you really can't unring that bell once you've got it already
Yeah.
started too. And what's great about what you just said, that's a rule of thumb that anyone can use out there too, even if they're not working with you. This is the type of how you're describing it is the way the process should go, so that people can think about every single step they need to know, right?
Yeah, sure. And they'll probably talk. It's always great to talk to 2 or 3 contractors initially to get a feel for how their company is set up, what kind of experience they have with these buildings, going back to our
Sure.
pancake discussion, and also making sure that they're professionals at estimating and that they've got a really large variety of subcontractors that they use so that they're able to control the construction environment and the pricing environment. The biggest fear, I would say, going into a large project is that if the builder has made a 20% mistake on how much things are going to cost, you end up with 30 and 50 and $100,000 overruns on the project from what the client initially thought they would spend, and that's where you get into major, major problems. So you want to make sure that during the design build, and we talked about that a little bit in our last program, maybe we can designate a whole program to discussing what that kind of the design methodology really is, but it takes several months of designing and estimating to really come up with that price. So that once you arrive at the price, you arrive at the design and the material specifications, everything's starting to come in line with that target budget. And we as a company, Blue Sky, we make a guarantee for the budget, for everything that we've discussed, everything that we've been able to uncover during that design process, guarantee that budget. There's always some small unforeseens. It's always great to have a few $1,000s on the side just for the event once we do the structural demo walls, that you've got a little contingency. So use that rule of thumb as with a grain of salt to say, like, your project could be 1.25 or $125 a square foot. It could be $225 a square foot. Some of the times your contractor can control that pricing level. Some are just expensive companies to work with. They do a lot of marketing and expensive advertising, and they're a big company and they have large overheads. And sometimes you're working with very small companies where you're working directly with the owner and it's just him and his son, and they may take 12 or 16 months to do the project. But it's the bigger companies that usually do them a little faster. So we found a way with 8 people to do it fairly fast and efficiently at pretty low cost. So again, that's why you want to talk to your builder, not about how much the electrical piece is going to be or how much drywall costs, because those will be fairly standard through the industry, but really who your builder is and how much your builder is going to cost them to run the project. And make sure it's a 6-month project or a 5-month project and not a 12 or a 15-month project. Because there's a lot of costs, obviously.
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
And there's the costs outside too, and I apologize, this might actually be one of our questions that I saw come across from one of our viewers, was, are there any other costs? Well, certainly there's the cost of displacing the family, temporary living, situation, as well as storage of all the contents. In a sense, the family moves out from the home during the project. It's just too intrusive, and the construction is just too large scale for the family to be able to live in the house during most of these projects. And so you have to accommodate another $10 or $12 or $15,000 maybe to live somewhere else for the 4 or 5 months and also store all the family's things. So So, long answer to your question.
I'm like, go ahead, preach it. Well, I love it. You said that everything is a rule of thumb with a grain of salt. That's a perfect way to put that
Yeah,
as well.
right. I got a caveat. It's kind of like being a lawyer.
That was a good one. And of course, time is money, so that's a huge cost too. And thank you for adding that into the time of being displaced from your home, depending on what you do. So that's great.